All right, and we are live. How's it going, everybody? This is Undead 3XVI, and welcome to episode 4 of the Gaming Perspective. Got a really stacked show for you guys today. You could say it's a Battle Royale special with no fist fights allowed. All right, so I'll introduce my first co-host with the co-most, my Canadian brethren, Rage Virus.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Gaming Perspective. I am Rage Virus X. I'm a writer for thelootgaming.com, and you can definitely find me out on Twitter there as well.
Right on. And Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey everybody, thank you for coming and checking out another episode of the Gaming Perspective. We've got some awesome Battle Royale talk. We are going to be going hard in on both PUBG, Fortnite, and a new contender to the playing field. I'm Samuel Tolbert. You can follow me on Twitter, and you can check out everything I write on ticgn.com.
All right. And joining the podcast in his first guest appearance, we have Alden from Digital Hoarders and Hashtag Dad Podcast. How's it going today, sir?
It's going all right, bro. Oh, sorry. Wrong show. I am really excited to be here. I've been a fan for almost 4 weeks now, so this is good. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at a.bear. My shows are Digital Hoarders and Hashtag DadPod. I do those with Brandon and Cupcake, respectively. Digital Hoarders is more of a gaming show. I won't go too much in detail. I don't want to take up your intro. Digital Hoarders is a gaming show. We have a lot of cool guests on. We are weekly Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern, and then we do Digital Hoarders. Hashtag DadPod. Post that usually on Thursday, and that's more of a dad life kind of show with me and Brandon Murphy, and it gets interesting, so it's fun. Check it out.
There's been 2 episodes straight by Brandon's balls, so
yes,
what? And I have to admit, I gotta give major props to you and Brandon for being able to pull off the double mug drink on that Moss interview. That was absolutely. That was the most beautiful thing I've seen done on a podcast.
It was my greatest achievement, I think. I've never pulled off anything so well. Brandon and I together just at the same moment. We had talked about doing it before, and if you guys haven't seen it, check out the last episode of Digital Hoarders on YouTube, because we had Richard Lico on from Polyarch. And we had discussed like a week earlier, let's get the mugs and then let's drink them at the same time. We won't tell Richard Lico we have them, and then we'll just synchronized drink from the mugs. And we hadn't really discussed it before the episode anymore, but he kind of looked at me during the episode and he said, "We've got merchandise too." And I knew where he was going, and we both it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. I could hear angels singing in my ears as it happened.
Oh man, yeah, that was a highlight for me. I sat back and I was at work. I had my headphones in. I was listening to it. I was sitting there with all my coworkers out for a smoke, and I was just like, "Yes!" And then everyone's looking at me. I'm like, "Oh, damn it!"
That's fantastic. I'm glad.
All right, so we're just gonna lightly brush over what everyone's been playing this week. So Rage, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, I've been playing a whole bunch of stuff. Still more Kingdom Come Deliverance. I've been having a hell of a time with that. Getting rid of all those stupid bandit camps. As well as some Hellblade and Neo. And Deep Rock Galaxy. That's another one, actually. It just came out a couple days ago. That's been a really fun one.
Yeah, I've actually been I might pick that up. I got paid today. I might pick that up. It looks really good. Everyone's saying it doesn't even play like an early access, so
it doesn't. It's nice because it's a great co-op. You said earlier you love co-op games. It's the perfect co-op game for you. I think we'll hit that spot from.
So what's the premise of that game, if I can ask real quick? I don't know much about it, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it now.
Basically, there's a whole map with a bunch of missions on it that rotate on a timer. But there's a bunch of different types of missions, as well as like exploration, mining. I think there's another one where you have to go kill a bunch of bugs for the swarm. But it really all depends on what type of mission that you're playing. But really, you're just picking one class and just using its abilities to what it is. I guess I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. I need to watch the trailer, and I need to stop being lazy and check it out.
It's definitely worth a play.
Okay.
All right. And Sam, what have you been playing? I saw you were playing Halo Wars 2 earlier.
Yeah, so I have been playing a lot of Halo Wars 2, and I'm a big Halo Wars fan. I love that game. It was one of my favorite games last year. And the Awakening the Nightmare expansion, I'm actually just now getting around to that because late last year was crazy in terms of playing and reviewing games. And I don't want to spoil anything. If you haven't played it, I'm 2 missions in. It's a 5-mission campaign, but it is some phenomenal stuff. Halo Wars 2 already had a really good story, really strong storytelling, but this puts 343's writing on another level. If this is what Halo 6 is going to be pulling from, then we're in for something really cool. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Halo Wars 2, and I've also been playing a ton of PUBG, especially in prep for our talk tonight.
All right. Yeah, I've been playing I've been playing a ton of PUBG. Oh God! Between that and Fortnite, I realized I put it in perspective. I've dropped usually get about 2 hours a day to game. I think I spent the past 2 weeks playing Fortnite and PUBG, and solo queue is just it's killing me right now. I've been number 2 in PUBG 8 times in the past week.
Oh wow!
Oh no!
Ow. And in Fortnite, the first game I played, I made top 3, but I didn't understand the building mechanic. So I was running around in a field like, where is everybody? And I realized they were in towers shooting at each other. And I'm sitting there like, oh God, help.
Just bullets raining down from the heavens.
So yeah, that's basically all I've been playing. And Alden, what have you been playing?
Well, I want to say I've been playing Fortnite in preparation for this podcast, but really, I've just been playing Fortnite nonstop for about 2 months. I've also been playing, I don't know if you guys know this, on Digital Hoarders, we talk about the fact that we are hoarders of all digital media. So a lot of times we don't get to games until a lot later on. I just played Octodad on my PS Vita yesterday. Cutting edge, man, cutting edge. We had a little bit of issues with the weather here, so we packed up and ran the hell away before the wind blew our house down yesterday. And so I just grabbed my Vita because I can't go full 24 hours without playing something. So I was just like, you know what, it's time to try this game out, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I beat it all in one day. So. But that's really it.
Nice.
The weather really put a damper on any sort of gaming plans I've had over the last few days. We got home about 2 hours ago, and we quickly cleaned the house because everything in the fridge was bad. And I had to get some Fortnite in before I got on the show. So I managed to get a match or 2 in before this show, just so I could be ready. Also because I was really having that itch. I missed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Battle Royale seems to be like heroin. I made fun of guys. I always made fun of guys. I was like, I don't know how you could sit there and play PUBG for hours. Yeah. And last week on my weekend, because I work midnight, so I don't flip myself over. Like I keep my midnight pattern, so I'll sleep through the morning / early afternoon, and then I'm up. Mm-hmm. So my wife went to bed at like 10 p.m. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna play like a round or 2 of PUBG, and I was like, around like midnight, 1 o'clock, I was like, oh, I'll just play some Fortnite. And then I'll play something else. And my wife poked me on the back at 9 a.m. and was like, you going to go to bed now? I'm like, it's 9 a.m.? I was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I've literally been playing Fortnite for 8 hours.
Damn.
So, yeah, I was going to say that's definitely I feel you on that addiction. And if you played Octodad and if you really enjoyed yourself on that game, I highly recommend that you check out I Am Bread.
Oh, okay. You know what? This is going to shock you, but I am a digital hoarder and I own it and I've never played it, so I will check it out.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. That was the last DualShock 4 controller I broke was because of I Am Bread. So fun fact. I do not do rage games at all. Well, I broke my Razer keyboard with Unfair Mario, so I play nice, relaxing games now.
I love rage-inducing games. They're my favorite. Super Meat Boy is one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, God. No.
Yeah.
Oh, so many Xbox 360 controllers.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Those are some great games. All right. So that's what we've been playing. So, as everyone knows, the buzz on social media and streaming, the top two things being streamed most of the time these days is PUBG and Fortnite. Now, Battle Royale genre has been around for a long time. I think the first time I remember hearing about it or paying attention to it was H1Z1, which was a disaster.
Yeah.
Did anyone see that? H1Z1's trying to come back. Did anyone see
Yeah,
that?
it's the-
Yep.
Xbox is coming out early access. Woohoo!
No, I think H1Z1 is coming out with Vehicle Battle Royale. Did anyone see the trailer for that?
I did not see that. No. I have not seen
they
that.
have it's like Hummers with your friends, but you can't get out of the vehicles. It's like Vehicle Battle Royale. I'm like, this is what? It's like
That's the worst part of PUBG.
yeah.
Now wait a minute.
Oh, sorry. All right, I'm off the show, I guess.
No.
No.
Nobody's getting the cane yet.
Getting the cane yet. All right, so we're gonna talk about the good things. We're gonna talk about Fortnite first, and I was really hyped for Fortnite, not for the Battle Royale mode initially. I was a huge proprietor of the PvE mode. But a few weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to kind of I was going to do a video on the Battle Royale genre, and I decided that, hey, why not do a podcast on it? There's enough content to cover in that. So I went, you know what? I haven't played Fortnite, so I'm going to give Fortnite a go. So some of the positive things I'm going to put for Fortnite is I love the art style, like the style of the game. It's really nice. It's refreshing. It's a lot of fun. I find the game's very easy to pick up on. Like after that first game where I didn't know how to build everything and I was kind of lost, it was really easy to pick up and learn and sit there and go, oh, okay, so that's how you do this. And like you watch other players play and you're like, oh, okay, so that's how you build a tower that's more defensible. Or these are some of it was really easy to pick up on, which I really enjoyed because PUBG, if it wasn't for Anchor, I would have stayed sucking at that game for a long, long time. It was very easy to learn. I found it was a lot, I'm not going to say easier than PUBG because that's not the word I'm looking for. It's a lot faster paced than PUBG, which is something I enjoy about Fortnite is I find the games don't last as long. Like I could take 20th or 15th place in PUBG and that game took 25 minutes. In Fortnite, I can finish top 10 and it's been like 9 minutes, 10 minutes.
Right.
That's true.
And the map's a lot smaller, or it feels a lot smaller. I'm not sure geographically if it is smaller. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah,
It is.
it is.
Definitely.
It's much smaller.
It's definitely smaller. They don't have vehicles, so that's an aspect that's different. I actually don't mind it not having vehicles. Not getting run over consistently is a nice feeling. So that's my kind of positive takeaways from Fortnite. We'll go Alden next because I know you're really heavy into Fortnite.
I am, and it's funny too. I didn't expect to ever be. I mean, you talked about how it's addictive. I didn't expect to be into these games. I'm not much of an online gamer. I usually like to play single player games and not deal with people online and the pain it is to hear people's voices and the things that they want to say to you when you play games online. Until PUBG came out, and a few friends talked to me about it. And I think literally the same day that somebody was talking to me about it, Polygon started a video series where a group of them gets together, and I happened to listen to a couple of the guys that are on the video series. I listened to their podcast, so I thought, you know what, let me check it out. And I watched them play it, and I think it's called Awful Squad. And I started watching that, and I just fell in love with it. And the way that the genre allows you to kind of, I don't know, have a different story for every match. You know, you never know how anyone else is going to react, and you never know what loot you're going to find or what you're going to find where. So it kind of allows you to have this entirely different experience every 30 to 40 minutes. If you're good enough and you don't die immediately like I did the first time I started playing. And then when Fortnite came out, we talked about it on Hoarders. I liked that it was coming to console and it was going to give me a chance to play a battle royale game with a controller, but I didn't expect anything major to come out of it. And when it first came out, I said, it's not as good as PUBG, but it's on a console, so I'm going to end up playing it more. And Epic has done a great job of updating the game consistently and answering fans and making it more of an enjoyable experience. And I think they realize that what it does have over PUBG is it's more fun. It's not as I don't know what the word is. It's not as epic sometimes. Yeah, it's
sweaty
definitely
is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, it's not as sweaty. But and that can be good and bad. I could play Fortnite and not get any sort of sweat going on at all until I get down in that top 3. Whereas PUBG, you get that sweat immediately because you don't know. I'm going to walk across this field and somebody could snipe me from across the map. In Fortnite, you kind of have a little bit more of a buffer there. The gunplay is not as tight, which is a detriment and a plus sometimes. It's a lot more arcadey, and it tends to suit my style a lot better. I like to be able to jump in, and right now what they've got going on is they've got a lot of those challenges where they are changing the challenges daily, but then you have weekly challenges that are a lot harder to reach. So you can level up your battle pass so you can get more stuff and more outfits and more whatever. None of it really matters. It's all cosmetic, but it's just fun to get and a good goal to have. And I've realized that what a lot of these challenges force you to do is they make you try things that you otherwise wouldn't. Get 7 kills with an SMG. So you specifically go out and you look for an SMG instead of the shotgun that you usually use. Get sniper rifle kills. I was terrible with the sniper until they made the sniper rifle kills a challenge. And then there's kills to drop into specific areas and get kills there. So it forces you to, if you're the kind of player that likes to drop and hide, and a lot of times in PUBG, that's the kind of player I was, where I try to be a little more methodical and pay attention to my surroundings. If you want to try these challenges in Fortnite, you have to jump in, get a gun, and start shooting. So it's forced me to get better at gameplay, and I think that's the only reason I finally won a game. Because for a long time, winning a game of Fortnite was like my white whale, and it got to the point where it's definitely an easier game to win, but I would get to the top 3 and something would go wrong and I'd make a mistake and I'd die. But after, 30 hours of playing it and not winning, it got built up so much in my head that every time I would get in the top 2 or 3, I would just start panicking like crazy. But doing all these challenges that they have just kind of forced me to play it differently and learn the game better. And I finally pulled off a win last week, but that was a relief.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's actually, it's really interesting. You mentioned how the challenges change how you play. When I initially played my first game of Fortnite, I got like 2 kills or whatever, but I was playing it like a PUBG player. I was being cautious. I was checking my corners, and I was like, this doesn't really work in this game. So I just went to I can't remember where I landed, but I landed in like the busiest spot where all the people dropped. I grabbed the shotgun. I just ran at people.
Yeah.
And I ended up placing top 10. I had like 11, 12 kills.
Nice.
But I found the more, for lack of a better word, the more balls to the wall you go in Fortnite, it seems to pay off more. Whereas if I try to do that in PUBG, I just automatically get hunted. I'm like, I'm going to run at this guy. And it's like, oh, never mind. He's got an auto shot. Run! But yeah, I definitely agree. I actually find I like the gunplay in PUBG because it suits the style of the game really well. And I think they did a really awesome job with Fortnite and how the gunplay works with the game. It fits, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, when it first came out, I said the gunplay needed to be fixed dramatically to come anywhere close to how good PUBG was. But I think, and they have updated it. They've changed it a lot. They've made it better, and they've made it suit the style more. It's almost like they knew a lot better than me. Go figure. They made it a lot more arcadey and a lot more fun, but there are guns now. I mean, when it initially launched, you could get shot a lot more and not die. So it took away a lot of the fear factor when you saw anybody. Or it took away any fear for running across the map because you knew if somebody shot you, you'd have plenty of time to turn around and take them on head to head. Nowadays, they made a lot of these guns a lot stronger, and they've released new guns and updated it with the minigun and stuff like that, where it's a lot stronger. So you do have to be more aware and more cautious, and you have to build more to try to stay safe in areas that you otherwise wouldn't be able to stay safe.
Yeah, for sure. Rage, what about yourself?
Oh man, I definitely played a good amount of both of the games, both PlayStation Battlegrounds and Fortnite. I think what I really like about PUBG is how it's, personally for me, I don't like arcadiness for a type of game like that. I really like how it's a sim shooter, and I guess for the most part, I also kind of like how serious it is, because it feels way more, how would you say?
Grounded.
Yeah.
Sweaty.
And, sweaty. Sweaty's definitely a big one. Well, like it's true though. Like as soon as you get down on the ground, you're constantly thinking from start to finish, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta do this, and then you forget one little thing, you slip up, and then all of a sudden, you're dead. Try again, buddy. You just spent 25 minutes to get into the top 50. Oh, how wonderful. Yeah. But what else I don't like about it is it's not as polished as what Fortnite is. Fortnite is just babied and taken care of, and just like they made it a mode in Fortnite and was like, let's see what this can do. See if people like it, and people loved it right off the bat, and it took off like a phenomenon, like what PUBG is, maybe a little bit more. And I think they really lucked out on that one. And because of that is why it's also so good now. Mm-hmm. People continue to like it because they go, we could really do something special here with this type of a game in Fortnite. And it's not as stressful at all. Not as much as PUBG it is, at least it is for me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have too much bad to say about Fortnite at all right now. It's just done really well. I had some issues at the start of it with bugs and stuff like that, and what was a big one? The stupid rocket launchers. That's the one thing I really don't like, is the rocket launchers in that game. Is you just can't hide. And if you go one-on-one duel with someone else that has a rocket, you're just kind of toast.
See, I really had a great time with the rocket launcher, because I got one in my like second or third game. And there was this guy, he must have seen the video on Facebook or Twitter. And what he was trying to do is he was trying to build a walkway like way up in the sky into the center of the zone, and was like trying to be super sneaky about it, but I saw it, so I just blew up the middle section, which caused the whole thing to collapse. And he fell to his death, and I got a good laugh out of it. It was quite funny. But on the flip side of things, in my first
rocket
game,
launcher, man.
my first game, I was in the process of opening a chest, and a guy just turned around the corner and hit me like 5 feet away with a rocket to the face. I was like, oh.
Yeah, the rocket definitely, I don't know, it unbalances things a little bit. I mean, if you get to the end of the game, I got to the end of the game a couple nights ago where I was doing real well. My loadout was fantastic, but I was second, and the guy who was in first had a rocket launcher, so there was just no chance for me.
The one thing, before I get to Sam's thoughts on it, the one thing that bugs me with Fortnite is the shotguns. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I love shotguns. Like, shotguns are my favorite weapon in a game. But there is kills I've gotten with shotguns in Fortnite. I'm just like, how? Yeah. How did I get that? Like, I'm like 50 yards from the guy, and it's like, boom, headshot. Okay. What? No, I'm not okay with that, because if someone did that to me, my controller would be going out the window.
Yeah, that's true for sure.
It's very good in the balance of everyone knows the shotguns are good, and I always find people are really bouncy in Fortnite too.
Yeah,
like when I first started playing it, like I got into a gunfight with the one guy, and he was like behind a wall, and he kept like jumping up, and I'm like, is that what you're supposed to do, or is it just my job? And then like I came up against another guy, and he was like bouncing along. I'm like, is this how you avoid getting sniped in the head? And I realized, yeah, that's how you avoid getting sniped in the head.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely some different mechanics to it. Sam, what about yourself?
Okay, so Here's the thing. I've played a lot of Fortnite. I've probably played like 30 hours of Fortnite. However, I'm talking about regular Fortnite. I've only played a little bit of Fortnite Battle Royale. I was one of those 20, 30 people who was actually playing the Fortnite single player campaign and all that when it came out last year. So Fortnite Battle Royale, the thing is, Fortnite, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. It's a much more arcadey game, right? The art style, the way the guns shoot, just the fact that there's no vehicles, it's a smaller map, the fact that people are bouncing around all over the place, the rocket launcher, all that. It has a much more arcade sim feel. And the thing for me is that's not a bad thing per se, but that's not what I'm looking for. PUBG has this gritty, realistic, very harsh tones, lots of brown and red and green in the color scheme. It's a very realistic tone. It's much more serious. It's much more difficult. You guys were talking about it getting sweaty just a couple of minutes after you drop down. That's the case. Every single time, it's a different story, especially if you're with a squad and some of the crazy things that can happen there. And that's why I like PUBG. Fortnite, for me, it doesn't get that same feeling. Again, that's not to say it's a bad thing. It's just what I'm looking for in a Battle Royale game.
And I think that's why people always talk about, I always see people talking on social media, oh, PUBG's going to destroy Fortnite or Fortnite's going to destroy PUBG. I don't think there's as much of a crossover audience as people think there is. I think there's a very different kind of person that enjoys Fortnite, and there's a very different person that enjoys
to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent. There is crossover. Like everyone, if you play Battle Royale, I compare it to similar to Call of Duty and Battlefield. You have your hardcore Battlefield guys, you have your hardcore Call of Duty guys, and you got guys that'll play either or depending on their moods. Call of Duty is your arcadey, fast-paced shooter. Battlefield is your more technical, tactical game. That's all the really variations between Fortnite and PUBG. And I definitely feel like Fortnite has the teen market down to a T. I don't know how to phrase this properly, but Fortnite to me is insanely memey.
It feels like it's yes. I know what you're saying. It feels like it's appealing to a
like a younger crowd. Like I feel like I'm 17 again, and I'm cruising Reddit and being edgy on the internet again. Like I got killed in my first game of Fortnite, and the guy did a little dance with an L on his forehead while wearing a fucking astronaut outfit.
It's like that's not realistic.
Yeah, well, it's not even the realism. I was just like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, they definitely lean into that. I mean, the dances you can get. My main dance is a Fresh Prince dance. That's not the kind of thing. It's the Carlton dance. If you saw that in PUBG, you'd want to quit. It fits the game a little bit better, and it definitely does seem like. I mean, there's a lot of the emotes that they've released lately. I think in this pack especially. In season 3, a lot of the emotes come directly from Twitch streamers, so they know what crowd they're playing to, and it's definitely bigger for the younger kids, I think. But it's funny that we talk about it because it sounds like all around on this show, we all see the merits of both. But anytime you're on Twitter, it just seems like it's one or the other, battle to the death.
Yeah, and let's touch on that real quick, right? Like, there's no real way of saying this without saying it, but I'm about 99% sure that part of that comes from the fact that one of them is available on only one platform and the other isn't. Let's just call it for what it is. I think a lot of the salt is stemming from that.
I think you'll see a change in opinion on both can be great when PUBG eventually launches on PS4.
True.
I definitely feel.
Yeah.
I feel like on a platform as Twitter, because of how platform centric Twitter tends to be. Yeah. I'm not saying that people can't think PUBG is better than Fortnite or Fortnite is better than PUBG.
Right. No, we're talking about
they're both really good games. I think the ones where people are like, well, PUBG's garbage or, oh, Fortnite's garbage. Like, my biggest problem is, like, things I don't like about Fortnite. We'll start going into negatives about these tiles. Fortnite doesn't give me that battle royale like thrill until like the final 5, whereas PUBG gives me that heart pounding right off the bat, which isn't
straight from the beginning. Yeah,
and which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Not all the time do I feel like I want to have a heart attack.
Right.
Like, I find Fortnite's great because I can play it when my daughters are awake. If my daughters need something, I'm like, okay, I can put the controller down, no problem. And it's like, oh, whatever. What happens, happens. When I'm playing PUBG, I'm like staring at the screen being like, is my daughter playing with an electrical outlet? Shit.
You're trying to rescue your daughter while you're still playing with one hand.
Trying to like wrestle her with my foot while I'm still like, yeah.
I will freely admit I've had that happen with my cat or my dog at times.
Yeah.
One of them will come through and need something. It's like, oh, hold on. Let's see if I can grab that door with my foot here.
But I definitely... I think both are fantastic games. And one of the things that I always hate is people, I'm not going to say make up stuff, but blow things out of proportion to make one game look better. Like, I'm sorry, one of the downsides to PUBG, and I will take any hatred that comes with saying this, it is janky as hell on
the
console.
jank is there. No. I mean, I love PUBG, but you have to embrace the jank.
It's better. It's a lot better since launch.
It's got a long way to go, though.
It's also gotten better with that recent patch. I don't know if you've played it with that new patch.
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, that other patch, because do you mind if I just touch on that really quick? Because I was playing that with King David, one of the Iron Lords from the Iron Lords podcast, and I was playing it with some other friends. They just introduced a new patch that has seriously improved it, especially if you're playing on the Xbox One X. It cuts down on the jank. It massively improved the frame rates, and it fixed a lot of the issues people have been having with the vehicles, like taking damage because you went over a bump and stuff. I mean, that's not to say there isn't still some jank or it doesn't have a ways to go, but the recent patch did have some major improvements, so I do want to give them props for that. But what you're saying still absolutely stands. There is jank. There's no denying.
I do have a lot of hope for PUBG in the future. I had the pleasure, one of my friends has a really, really nice PC, and I got to play a couple of rounds of PUBG on PC, and it is really, really smoothed out nicely.
Yeah.
And plays really well on PC now. But one of the things I see people going around, and this is mainly on Twitter because Twitter is the epitome of human evolution. What I absolutely hate is slander for the sake of slander. There's no way I would say that PUBG, I won't say that Fortnite doesn't run better than PUBG. Fortnite definitely runs better than PUBG. Harder to fix. PUBG is janky because of how the engine's set up. Brendan Green's been on numerous interviews and said that it's a real challenge to optimize it because of how CPU heavy it is.
Yeah, that thing it's a CPU hog, which makes me wonder how it's going to perform if it does come to the base PS4, because people tend to forget the base Xbox One actually has a somewhat better CPU than the base PS4. So I kind of shudder thinking about that.
Yeah, because it's not good on base Xbox.
No, it's not
great. But Fortnite, and people can discredit Epic Games if they want because they own Unreal, so obviously they're going to be pretty pro at optimizing their own engine.
Yeah,
but when I first loaded up Fortnite, I've got it on the X. I decided to download it when it got the X enhancements, and they did all those nice improvements to it. That game, I will give them insane amounts of props. That game runs so smooth, and it's so pretty, and it's an absolute dream to play. I don't know how they could still pass it off as early access because it runs absolutely. I'm not going to say flawlessly because I have had my share of issues, but it runs really, really well. It doesn't crash. It's just a really well-made game, and with good reason, as Epic has put a ton of their staff into that game. Have done a fantastic job updating it, adding things. Like, I think it's this week or was it next week? They get hunting rifles. which is going to be an interesting
Mhm.
addition. The jetpacks are going to make things.
That's gonna be weird.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, like that's gonna throw a lot of things.
You're
off.
going to see me get so many victory royales because I was top 100 in Advanced Warfare Domination on Call of Duty. Jetpacks are my shit.
You're probably not the only one saying that too. I can guarantee you that one.
I was going to say, like, I've been reading some Twitter replies and some stuff in the forums. A lot of people are not happy about the jetpack at all. So it's going to be funny.
It's funny. Ever since Call of Duty did that jetpack flip, everyone is so anti-jetpack. Now, I remember back on like 360 PS3, I was like, man, you know, it'd be really sick if we had a game with jetpacks.
We did. The original Battlefront 2. The clone troopers had jetpacks. It was awesome.
Actually. That's very true.
All I could think of is this is throwing it not way back, but it's way back because I'm only 24. Anyone remember? I think it was called Bounty Hunter, and you got to play as Jango Fett.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
On GameCube and PS2.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you had like bounty hunting tools. You had the jetpack. You had the dual pistols. You had the missile launcher, wrist rockets, and oh man, that was the epitome. I just remember sitting there going, "How can you make a jetpack work in a game?"
And now we just need to pour one out and have a moment of silence for Star Wars 1313.
Oh. Why no? Why bring up that game? I don't even want to think about it.
You made me think about it, reminiscing about bounty hunting Star Wars games.
You got
before the Empire.
You gotta realize, for me, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. Like, I don't believe anything good has come from Star Wars since the 1980s.
Yikes! We better move on topics really, really quick.
So downsides that Fortnite, I want to touch on this because we've got social media is so prevalent with its hatred of microtransactions, and developers are evil and they're all out to steal our wallets right out from our back pocket and steal our children, yada, yada, yada. Fortnite has to have some of the most obnoxious, you don't need them to play the game, but they have some of the most obnoxiously overpriced cosmetics I've seen in an early access game. And then
I would say the worst in an early access game. And if it weren't for Metal Gear Survive having the audacity to charge $10 for a save slot, I'd say the worst, period.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That one was like, really? A save slot for $10?
My favorite part of that whole thing is Konami already had an uphill battle with that game not having Hideo Kojima. And they were like, you know what we should do? They sat in a board meeting and went, you know what we should do? We should charge $10 for save slots.
You know what this barn fire needs? Gasoline.
They should, and then them sending review copies to like Angry Joe and Jim Sterling. I'm like, you guys are nuts. I would not.
I admire your confidence.
God. So like, I was looking at the store, like, and I want to make this clear. I'm not one to jump on the hate the developer for microtransactions. Microtransactions in a game, especially if they're only cosmetic, I have no problem with, especially games where they just let you buy the cosmetics you want and they don't make you try again RNG roll for them.
Right. Like, hey, here it is. You like this cool stuff? Come get it.
I play MOBA called Smite. It's on consoles and PC. And for a lot of the skins, it's about $9.99 for a character skin. $12.99 roughly. Between that.
Those ones would be pretty expensive.
For character skins. Some of the Fortnite ones, they're like $18, almost $20.
Yeah, there's plenty that are like $20.
And I was kind of sitting there and I'm like, that's a lot of money. Like, I'm not going to buy any of them. But
World of Warcraft, they have that digital store too for like cosmetic items and stuff like that. The mounts that you can buy on there alone, like you want to buy a mount, okay, $20-$30. Cough it up, otherwise you're not going to get this mount. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. $20-$30 for cosmetics, like that's half the price of a game. And that's the way I look at it. I'm not a huge fan of that price point, especially in a game where you're still saying it's early access.
Yes.
Yep.
Even though it plays like a full-fledged game, it's still early access.
And see, this is my biggest fear with games like Fortnite and even a little bit with PUBG. PUBG launched on PC, so I've got a little bit of faith. If you can see my fingers, a little bit, just a little bit of faith in PUBG. But Fortnite, I'm kind of curious how long they're gonna run the early access while still selling microtransactions. Because I'm not sure if everyone remembers, but when Ark hit early access, everyone was like, oh, okay, this game's not bad. It kind of runs like dirt, and it got a little bit better. And then they sold seasons passes and DLC packs while it was still in early access. And that was like the biggest crime against humanity. And
that was a bit of a complicated scenario due to what happened with the company losing that big lawsuit, but gamers didn't particularly care.
Yeah,
it was bad.
It was bad news bears. And I really have a hard time believing that Epic can't fund and launch Fortnite in a timely fashion. Like the PvE mode is supposed to be free to play. They said spring 2018. It's spring 2018.
Yeah,
we haven't heard anything.
We've still heard nothing. And there's still been no updates on that front, or not any real major updates.
Yeah. I googled it, and the last full bore update to Fortnite, the actual game that they charge money for, was in November.
Yep.
All their focus has been on that battle royale. As soon as they made it, people loved it, and just I think a lot of its success is partly due to PUBG because people didn't want to pay for it, but they wanted to watch it and they wanted to play it. And then this new free version came out by this other game, another company, and they go, let me try that. And they just fell in love with it. And then all of a sudden you got like 14 million people playing it shortly after it came out. And you go, holy shit. Maybe we should pay a little bit more attention to this.
Yeah, and I think they're making money hand over fist at this point using those skins, and people are buying them. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I bought one for $20. So it was kind of an inside joke with hashtag DadPod, where there was an episode where we nicknamed me Swear Bear. So when they released the pink bear outfit that looks like a pink Care Bear, it became kind of a joke, but I had to buy it just so I could be Swear Bear in Fortnite. Now it turns out when you wear a giant pink bear costume, you get shot in the head a lot. But I spent $20 on it. But judging on if you drop into a lobby, probably half the people you see are using a skin that that they had to pay money for. There's plenty of skins you can get in the battle pack at this point, and you don't have to spend too much money for that. If you spend $10 to get the battle pass, you get a whole bunch of loot as you play, and you get emotes and skins and a whole bunch of stuff, dances. And that's $10, and it supports the developer. And that's why I don't have an issue so much with the microtransactions, is because it is a free game. So every dollar that I put into it, and I don't put a whole lot into it, but I do feel like it's important for me to at least get the battle pass and give them $10 here and there. I think it's every 3 months they do a new battle pass. Give them $10 here and support them for the game that they've got to be working so much on. But judging by the number of skins that I see in these lobbies, they're making a lot of money.
Well, not only what you brought up there, but the fact that the paid early access, I'll repeat that, the paid early access story mode had microtransactions as well.
Oh, yeah, there is that.
That actually affected gameplay balance. Now, it was PvE, so I didn't particularly care. You could avoid. I didn't spend a penny on them. You don't have to. But the point is, they had a lot of microtransactions in that, too. So, yeah, they're making plenty of money off this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, they've spent. They are Epic, so they know exactly how to work that engine. But They've put a lot of work into it at this point, so I feel like it's important for me to at least support them some on their free game. I did buy the main game too, but I didn't get into that as much. I think eventually I'll go back in and play it some more, mostly because I'm a trophy whore and I need those trophies. But I don't know. Have they released any figures on sales or profits that they've made since releasing all these skins?
No, because Epic is very, very good about, they keep their financials very well wrapped up. The only numbers that we have for Fortnite is their concurrent player base, and that's only for Battle Royale mode. And last time I heard, I remember them throwing around 3.5 million current players.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was on all platforms.
It has to be all platforms.
Because I'd imagine it'd be all platforms, but that's still a huge number.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting because with Epic's focus on Fortnite, we've seen them close down Paragon.
Yep.
That development team is now working on the PvE mode, which is good. I'm glad they're focusing more people on that, because I think the PvE mode could be just as good as the Battle Royale mode. Mm-hmm. They just need that little bit of extra polish. But with a Battle Royale game, you need a fairly decent sized team to constantly update, balance, and if you've got 3.5 million concurrent players, then you've got to have a huge server maintenance team.
Yeah, it's funny too, because I've been saying this whole time that Fortnite's better because Epic listens to its fan base and updates and does this, that, and the other. But the big knock on Epic before Battle Royale came out was that they didn't listen to anybody. They didn't listen to any of the fans for Paragon, and they didn't listen to any of the fans for PvE Fortnite, and they rarely released updates. So maybe they're seeing the error of their ways.
With these kinds of player numbers, they are.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and
the money's there.
Yeah, the money's there. And I think for Epic, the Battle Royale mode taking off was a really, really good thing for Epic, because let's face it, Epic has not been doing a whole lot in the big blockbuster.
They really haven't. Like, I mean, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. You can go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. You definitely have more insight on this than I do.
I was just going to say, it's like, let's be real about this. We talked about Paragon. They just shut down Paragon. They wanted Paragon to be big. Let's not pretend and let's not shove that under the rug or anything. They wanted Paragon to be the next big thing. It was revealed at one of Sony's major conferences as and we've got one last thing, exclusive console partnership. This is going to be huge. And now it's just been shut down. So they haven't exactly been doing fantastic, especially when you consider that the other games that they've released in the last few years have been, well, let's just take a look at their accomplishments. Since 2013, where the last Gears of War game that they were responsible for, Gears Judgment, was published. And then they sold the Gears of War IP to Microsoft in 2014. They announced a new Unreal Tournament title, which was great. They re-released Bulletstorm. They re-released Shadow Complex. They released a VR game called Robo Recall. And that's pretty much it. Then you've got Paragon and Fortnite. So they haven't exactly been doing fantastic until Fortnite Battle Royale struck gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as someone who plays a fair amount of MOBAs, Epic just wasn't, I'm not going to say competent, because they're very good developers. And Paragon was a very, very good game. They don't understand the MOBA crowd. They've done a very good job of listening to player feedback with the Battle Royale mode, which has been fantastic because they made the adjustments they had to, and they're listening to players. And a perfect example of them listening to players is the jetpacks. A lot of people had concerns about it, and then Epic came out and said, they were like, you know what? We don't have the balancing completely right yet, so we're not going to release them this but get them the next patch. And people are like, okay, that's fair enough. But But with Paragon, the gaps in the updates were what was killing them.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have some weeks where they'd have a couple of updates in a week, and then there'd be a month, 2 months, and you'd be like, something going on? You guys doing something? And like, if you want a successful free-to-play MOBA, and I'll use Smite as an example, that's developed by Hi-Rez Studios. They have updates every Tuesday, every other week. There's patches. And that includes from game improvements, character patches, item changes. Per season, there's usually about 22 updates for a 6 to 8 month season. And you've got to have that consistent base. And they have a new character coming out at least once every 2 months. At least. And for that kind of crowd, you need to have that kind of interactiveness with the community. And you have to listen to player feedback. You release an item into the game that's severely broken and people are finding workarounds to make that item super powerful, and you leave that unpatched for a month or two, you're going to lose your player base. And unfortunately, that's kind of what was happening with Paragon to a degree. They were inconsistent with it, but they seem to have learned their lesson with Battle Royale. And I really hope they launch the full title, and I'm really interested in the PvE once it goes free. I think they have a good setup with the BR mode. They've got a good player base, and when that PvE mode goes free, I think a good amount of people will go play the battle. When PvE goes free, I think people that are playing the Battle Royale mode might try out the PvE. I think they'll have two very good player bases. And then they can start moving the microtransactions, because let's be brutally honest. Microtransaction free-to-play games is a demon that everyone's used to. That's just kind of, if you don't pay anything for the game, having non-intrusive cosmetic microtransactions, even if they're expensive, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, well, the game's free, so I kind of get where you're coming from. I think Fortnite's, once all the content's released and they get out of early access, I think they'll have good success with it, especially if Epic keeps doing what they're doing. Now, PUBG on console, they've been updating it well. There's been somewhat, I'd say, an update on it, every 3 weeks, maybe?
Yeah, more than once a month. They're on update number 9 now. So actually maybe closer to twice a month, maybe?
Yeah. So they're optimizing it as fast as they can. They're fixing bugs. I wonder if I'm ever going to get a game with Anchor where he doesn't get booted to the home screen.
Likely not.
Yeah, probably not. And there's bugs and there's flunky stuff that still happens. I fell through the map the other day, which was really interesting because I didn't die. I was just under the map. I couldn't interact with anyone, but it was weird. It's buggy. It will get better. I don't know if it'll ever look as good as the PC version. I don't think it will.
Maybe on the Xbox One X, not the base Xbox.
Maybe.
And I've got a lot of concerns for PUBG as an IP when it makes the hop over to PlayStation, because for a couple of different reasons. How it'll run on the base PS4 is a concern.
Right.
And also the other concern too is we got when PUBG came out on console, we had an interesting scenario where we were on the new build for the game because mantling had been just added to the PC version the week before and it launched on console. And we had mantling, which was in the newest patch, but we were missing other key features from the game that were in previous patches. I think PUBG's success going forward is on how fast they can optimize the game, how fast they can get it looking crisp, getting the jank under control, and definitely when it does come to PS4, it's got to be smooth. It's got to be butter smooth when it hits that PS4 if they want to get a PlayStation player base. Because Sony has a really, really high standard. That's why we don't see early access games on PlayStation consoles. I'm not saying that's why it is, but the fact that there's
Black Tiger.
Okay.
Something in my throat. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
From my experience, from what I've seen, I don't work at PlayStation. I can't answer.
No.
Any of these questions,
I'm actually just
obviously.
mocking the fact that Life of Black Tiger is this weird 500-ton elephant that somehow got into the room and no one ever addressed it. It's weird.
I don't know. It seems so weird, but I give Sony a lot of credit. They don't, for the most part, with the exception of that game and a few others, they have a very strict quality standard that is always adhered to. And I admire that about them, because I've bought early access games and I've been like, wow, this game's really, really good. It's really polished. Then there's other early access games I've bought and I'm like, why is this playable right now?
Right.
And like Sony waiting a year or two down the road, like We Happy Few as an example is coming to PlayStation this summer, I think. It's been in early access for almost 2 years now. And them waiting till it's fully launched to have it on their console is great. But I think with PUBG, that final build that they deliver on PS4, it has to be, I'm not going to say perfect, but it has to be close to perfect, because that's the standard people are used to. And with Fortnite setting the bar very, very high, I think PUBG has a very much uphill battle with that. I don't know what anyone else has thought-wise on that.
Yeah, I think if and when, and I don't think it's a foregone conclusion at this point. I'm wondering if Microsoft's not going to be able to just keep PUBG over there.
That's actually been a thought of mine as well. I don't think it's... Let me think of how to put this. I think it's a 50-50 split at this point. Maybe even 70-30 in favor of it coming to PlayStation. But
yeah,
Microsoft has to see the success here. They know that. I mean, by all accounts, most financial analysts are saying PUBG is having an effect on Xbox sales, on it going up. So they got to be paying close attention, thinking that this is a big advantage they can keep.
How could you not? Like it's
also true. Yeah, it would kind of be dumb not to see.
Guys, how can you not see it? If you're missing this, wake the hell up for whatever. Just look, it's there.
Between PUBG and Sea of Thieves, Microsoft's finally having some people more interested in their console. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't shell out some money to keep it. That said, you're right. I think Sony would spend a long time working on that game before they released it, because they would want it to hold up to their quality before they put it on a PS4. With the way the engine runs, they might have some issue with that. It might take some time. So I think you're right, which is one of the cons for bringing it to PS4, and I'm sure Sony's looking at it the same way, thinking, do we want to do this? Because we've got Fortnite right now killing it. Do we need to worry about PUBG at all right now?
I wouldn't be surprised, just with how PUBG runs. I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation tries to double down with Fortnite and tries to get some exclusive Fortnite content.
It wouldn't shock me. Like, again, I think it's more likely than not that PUBG will come to PlayStation, but the distinct possibility is there that PlayStation will just go, okay, we're going to roll with Fortnite and see how this goes.
Yeah, for sure. And as everyone saw this week, Sony came out and said they were doubling down on their gaming division and studios and everything else. So if they're doubling down on first-party studios, you can almost bet they will be doubling down on third-party adventures as well. So I would not be surprised if we started seeing some PlayStation stuff coming across to Fortnite. I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing Aloy skins or something in Fortnite on PS4. That'd be a really smart sell and things like that. I definitely think PUBG's got an uphill battle. It's got a bad reputation for running like garbage. I'm not going to say it runs like garbage. It runs kind of janky. It's got a reputation for that, and it's going to have to do a lot of work to beat that. And development time played in a huge role to how these games turned out, because everyone's like, the biggest thing I see is, how is Fortnite so polished? It's only been worked on since like 2016 when they announced it. And in reality, Fortnite's been in development since 2013.
Yeah.
Right.
It's developed in Unreal Engine 4, which anyone who knows Epic knows that they really don't like stepping outside that, obviously.
Yeah.
I definitely think they've done a good job at spiffing it up. They've got it down to an art. The game runs amazingly. So to kind of wrap up on that, I think both games have a place. I think they appeal to different audiences. As we've proved on this podcast, everyone plays both, but there's a preference towards what you're looking for in your Battle Royale game. I think there's definitely room for these games. Now comes the question, is this going to be a monopoly? Is PUBG and Fortnite going to be the only Battle Royale games that survive well? Because we've got games like Hunt the Showdown? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown,
which
so
is a
different that it's almost not Battle Royale because other players aren't the point. They're another factor.
Yeah.
But it's a bit complicated. But yes, it is still there. It's towing into the waters, so to speak.
It's got the foot in the Battle Royale waters, being like, hey, Battle Royale players, come check out this game that's not technically a Battle Royale game, but it's kind of similar. I think that game will be interesting. But the big one is Microsoft's push with the Darwin project, which we saw at E3 2017. And I didn't think I'd see it this soon, to be honest. I was kind of surprised when they were like...
I was too. It and Deep Rock Galactic. It kind of surprised me. Whoa, bam, bam. Okay, we got both of these just back.
Actually, if you go through the announcement of the Darwin project, there's a ton of people in there saying, oh, this game's really great. The beta last month was amazing. And I'm sitting there going, there was a beta?
Yeah, there's some streamers been playing it recently, and they give like exclusive streaming rights for playing the beta, just so they can preview it for people and stuff like that. But it looked really, really good. A lot of fun.
And so we've got the Darwin project that's coming out, and that's priced at $19.99 American.
No, $14.99.
Oh, so it's $19.99 for me, right?
Right, it's $19.99 Canadian, but I mean, it's either way, $14, $15, $19. That's really good, actually.
That's great price. Great price.
And I think with the Battle Royale games, they understand the content they deliver. And I think the Darwin project's really smart in the fact that they're not big enough of a name like Epic, where you're like, oh, Epic Games. Yeah, this game's going to be around for a while. So I'll sink some money into microtransactions and not worry about it. Like Darwin project's a fairly small game. So they're like, we can't charge full price, but we can't not charge. So the $15 entrance fee, like $15, like throwing down $15 for a game just to try it out, I don't know too many people that say no to that. Like there'd obviously be some people. But I think the price point's smart. I like the premise of the game. Once again, this is very much proof that Microsoft is trying to invest into Mixer.
Absolutely. And if you look at it, it's really cool because just because you're watching on Mixer, you can really take place in the game as well. It's a very different take on Battle Royale, and I like it because it's this Hunger Games-esque sort of reality TV show mixed with survival in the Canadian Rockies. It's actually really, really cool. It looks like a different topic. It's not trying to cut in on the PUBG Fortnite crowd. It's taking the concept of Battle Royale and saying, hey, let's do our own thing. Let's be unique here.
Yeah, for sure. I know I'm picking it up day one. I'm pretty sure you will as well, Sam.
Oh yeah, I'm paying very close attention to it. I was interested at the E3 reveal, but the more I learn about it, the more it sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm still learning about it. I'm going to be honest. I didn't know anything about this game really until pre-show, you mentioned what we were going to be talking about, and you said we were going to be talking about it, and I didn't want to admit that I'd never heard of it, so I had to Google it.
No worries. No.
I until it was announced a few days ago, I forgot about it because it was literally a 3-minute, not even a 3-minute. It was like what, a minute and a half segment on their E3 showing.
It was a minute and a half at E3, and it was hilarious because I was actually there, so I remember looking straight at the guy, but they actually brought out a showcaster to talk about what was happening on the screen. It was hilarious. But yeah, it's really good. Do you mind if I just go through a rundown of like how the game works if you're
sure, because I wrote about it. I know a little bit about it, but I pretty much my base knowledge is about the same as Alden's. So
Okay, so here we go. So the Darwin Project takes place in a dystopian future where people are forced to compete in a wilderness survival tournament in the Canadian Rockies at night below freezing. And there's 3 roles that you can take as a player. You can be a contestant, which means you're one of the 10 people in the arena, and you start off with a bow and an axe, and there's electronics scattered around the arena, like energy shields or cloaking devices and things like that. And you have to survive because it's below freezing. So you got to build fires to keep warm or find better clothing. But everything you do can leave tracks for the other players. So you got to balance that out. It's very interesting. Then there's an 11th player called the show director. The show director is basically, if you've seen the Hunger Games movies or read the books, you're the game maker. You are unleashing drones and energy storms on one side of the map. Then you're sealing off another side of the map with an energy wall. Basically, you're just deciding to do all this crazy stuff to keep the gameplay pace going. And people can vote on how cool a show director you are. There's going to be different styles, things like that. The last, but most certainly not least important thing is if you're spectating the game. As a spectator on Mixer, this is a Mixer exclusive feature, tune in on Mixer, and if the director uses a power, you and the rest of the audience get to vote on where it goes. So you and the audience have impact on who gets affected. Contestants have to compete for the audience's favor and things like that.
Yeah, hearing that and everything that I've looked at so far, I just have to wonder if they didn't look at the Battle Royale conversation with people saying it's kind of like Hunger Games, and they really decided, what can we do from Hunger Games that hasn't already been done?
Yeah, they're all thinking like, no, that's just a bunch of people killing each other on an island. We're going to go full Hunger Games. I mean, reading this, it's pretty much Hunger Games in all but name, and that's cool. I like it. It's different.
It definitely seems cool.
Especially, again, for only $15.
Yeah, and your explanation of it made it sound so much better than some of these Google results that I came up with. But
definitely,
it definitely sounds cool. I'll check it out for $15 for sure.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's an interesting game premise, and I am one of those. I'm going to call myself a blowhard. I'm one of those suckers that if I see a game doing something completely weird, off the wall, and unique, I will give them my money for that, because I always think that good ideas that are innovative, creative, and just completely out there, I will invest in that, because you never know when that could be the next big thing.
Right, exactly.
I definitely feel like giving those kind of developers a chance, it could be huge. And I've been burnt on those. You're talking to a guy who bought the Duke Nukem Forever Collector's Edition.
Oh!
I paid $120 for Duke Nukem Forever.
That takes some balls to admit, man. I appreciate that.
Duke would be proud.
I've invested in a ton of Kickstarter games and gotten insanely burned. I invested $100 into Starship Citizen. I am a moron.
Please turn on that investment tenfold in 2,800. I promise you.
My great grandkids will be very well taken care of.
Yeah,
definitely.
When that launches on PS15.
Yeah, this is why you don't have a PSVR helmet, though.
It is. It really is. It's so awful because it's so true. Because I sit there and go, man, really wish I had a PSVR helmet. And then I'm like, God, I wish I hadn't bought 7 games on my PS4 last week.
Yeah, you know what? I can't talk. I don't know if you know this. I'm a digital hoarder. So.
Oh yeah, no. Like I remember seeing a poll. It was like, "What should Alden play this weekend?" It was like 3 games. I'm like, "How has he not played these?" I'm like, I look at my digital backlog. I'm like, "How have I not played these?"
What kind of idiot wouldn't have played these games? But
Yeah, I think that's what makes our show work, because there's so many people now that have hit that point. With the way sales have been in the last year or two, everybody at this point has at least 100 or 200 games that they've got to get through. I mean, and mine and Brandon's alone, I mean, we're pushing 900, 1,000 each. So we're not only founders, we are also members of Digital Hoarders Anonymous.
Yeah, sign me up for that. I'm sitting on like 150 PS4 games and like
it's so difficult to keep up. It's getting more and more difficult.
And my biggest problem is that people are like, Nintendo keeps making these games I want to play and I want to buy a Switch. And I'm like,
in the same boat. I can't afford it, but I don't have the time to invest in it either.
And like the most crippling, horrific one was one of my friends posted on Twitter. He's like, "You imagine if Persona 5 came to the Nintendo Switch?" I'm like, "No, don't do it, because then I'll go buy a Nintendo Switch, because the only way I can beat a 100-hour game is if I can take it on the go. And then if that becomes a possibility, no."
Yeah, I spent 110 hours playing that on PS4. It would have been really cool to have that on the go.
Man, yeah, the whole.
So in light of how saturated the market is, how light our wallets are getting, and just how much of a backlog everyone has, whether big or small, everyone has a backlog. Let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that this is a $15 incredibly unique early access title.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Can't reinstate the importance of that enough.
Speaking of things that got dates.
Okay.
We're not talking about Anchorman. We're talking about Detroit Become Human. Which is my favorite game made by my least favorite human being.
What a combo, but
it really is. I really dislike David Cage as a human being, but god damn it, I like his games. So Detroit Become Human got a release date. It's May 25th?
May 25th, yep. And shout out to Randall Thor. While many of us, including myself and Chicken Spaghetti, had predicted that Detroit was just going to get dropped in May, Randall Thor got the exact day correct. So props to him. I got to give a shout out there.
Okay, so Rand is snuck over to the pony side of the bridge now. I see that. It's actually really funny because I actually had a bunch of people DMing me asking me if I had inside sources on PlayStation, because the day before, before Detroit's release date came out, I tweeted out, I was like, what would really get me through this really shitty work week? Some Days Gone or Detroit news. And people are like, that won't come out. Detroit news isn't until after God of War. You won't see anything. And then the next day, they're like, Detroit Become Human, May 25th.
That was
Here's the digital deluxe version with Heavy Rain included. And people are like, how did you know? I immediately said, I don't know. I don't know anybody. And they're like, you have to know somebody. I'm like, no, I really don't. They're like, you have inside sources, Aquatic Dream. I'm like, no, I really don't. I'm just a guy in Canada that wanted news on 2 games I was excited for.
I will point something important out if you'll just give me a moment here. The reason I had stated I thought that news was coming after God of War is because I thought Sony was going to be doing a big marketing campaign for Detroit. The fact that they're dropping the release date like this tells me that maybe they're backing off marketing this thing. At least it's not as heavily as they would have if the controversy hadn't emerged.
I'm in. Alden, you go. Actually,
I don't know. Just because that seems to be the way Sony's kind of handling releases these days. They're waiting until the game is ready, and then they're pushing it hard for a month or two. So I feel like that's really kind of how they've done everything over the last year or so. I mean, they pushed Horizon pretty well, but after that, it's kind of been like, all right, this game's going to be out in a couple months, so get ready. So that might be all it is. I mean, you might be right. I just don't know.
And maybe I'm just reading a little too much into it. It's just, I don't know, because I guarantee that's what's going on with Microsoft and Sea of Thieves, and they're going to start marketing State of Decay 2 or Crackdown 3, one of the two, after Sea of Thieves drops. But it's a little weird to me to just drop a release date and not a lot of big marketing for one of your big titles.
I think, and I'm probably gonna be wrong in this, because I know Brandon's sitting there in the chat and he works for Sony, and he's probably sitting there rolling his eyes when I try to guess anything about PlayStation. I really think Sony realizes that Detroit, it's going to be a success.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really good game. But I think they realize it's not going to be a huge mainstreamer for them. I don't think this is going to be Horizon Zero Dawn 2.0.
No. And I don't think anyone ever would have thought that, realistically speaking.
Like, Sony has some of the best exclusive IPs. Good majority of games that I grew up loving were Sony games. God of War, Twisted Metal, etc., etc. I love PlayStation games, but some of the games are just not necessarily for the main public, and I think some of the controversy that has popped up, I'm not even talking the Quantic Dreams David Cage thing, but like when you had all those sites that were writing hit pieces on like the the trailer.
That nonsense.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
What people aren't realizing with the gaming industry, and something Sony has realized and is capitalizing on very well, I think other studios are starting to catch up on it, is that we as gamers are growing up. Not necessarily all of us are, 14, 15-year-olds anymore. Like some of us are, 20s, 30s. We have kids, and we want serious content. I think Sony has done an insanely good job, and people can argue till the cows come home that Sony has more cinematic style games, but some of the most emotionally hard-hitting moments I've had in games have come from games like The Last of Us and even Uncharted.
Well, I would argue that Sony realized the importance of it after The Last of Us was such a resounding smash hit. For incredibly good reasons. The Last of Us is one of my favorite.
I agree, because if you watch after The Last of Us, Uncharted even started tugging at the heartstrings more, where it'd been kind of like a happy-go-lucky adventure tale before.
No, I think also that probably has something to do with the fact that it was literally The Last of Us director Neil Druckmann taking over the project and some other things that happened there. But yes, as a general rule, you're right. They have absolutely realized the importance of mature content. That's something they do well.
Well, and you say that, I wouldn't be surprised too if it doesn't go as far back as Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain was a sleeper hit for them. They didn't expect it to be as big as it was, and it's not a huge game, but it found its audience and it kept growing. So I think Heavy Rain kind of started that, where they said, wow, this is a really mature game and people are really enjoying it. Let's start to make Uncharted a little bit more mature. And then The Last of Us went just ball to the wall mature, but and obviously now they're even doing it to God of War. I mean, God of War is a much more emotional experience. So I think it goes all the way back to Heavy Rain, to be honest.
Possibly. You might be onto something there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Heavy Rain was. I'm actually not gonna lie. The first time I played Heavy Rain, I can't remember how old I was. I was pretty sure I was in high school still when I played Heavy Rain, and that was the first game. After I finished the game, I put my controller down and went, fuck.
Yeah.
Besides that, and maybe Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1 at the end, where I blubbered like a seal for way too long at the end of that game. They've definitely done things like that. And I think the main reason I'm kind of hesitant on wanting to play Detroit, but I'm going to explain why. It's not because of David Cage or anything along those lines, is I don't want to feel... and I know this game is going to make me feel a lot, just because what they've shown so far has some really adult content and some really like tough decisions.
Yeah, I don't want to get into, because I know some people consider walkthrough spoilers, and I disagree, but I'm just going to be careful about what I say here based off of what I saw at E3 and whatnot. There's a couple of different paths Detroit could go, obviously, in terms of story and how it handles content. And I really, really hope they're going for a more Blade Runner-esque vibe in terms of handling the androids than a robot revolution. Does that make any sense at all? Or am I not really making any sense there? I think I'm hoping they're going for a more subdued tone.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like they're leaning heavily on the whole, are androids people and how do they feel, and
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like they decided, let's just go all the way and make everything in this game emotional from the start. And maybe there's some lulls in between, but everything they've showed so far, it just seems like the stakes are so high. If you do the wrong thing in this situation,
right, tons of different ways to handle even that just little intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from the way they've explained it too, is even when you think you're making the right decision, it could go very wrong for the people you care about in that game.
Yeah. And there's nothing absolutely worse in a serious tone video game than you're supposed to be protecting a child, and then you get that child severely and brutally murdered, and you're like, oh God, why? Yeah. And I hope the only concern I have for Detroit is I hope it doesn't keep that heavy hitting of a tone through the whole game. Because I find games that keep the stakes high through the whole game, I'm not going to say physically exhausting, but it's mentally draining.
It's stressful. It's not that it's a bad thing, but it is stressful. Do we know how long the game is? Have they said anything about that, or are they keeping that pretty hush-hush?
I remember Cage talked about it in an interview, and I remember them saying that it wasn't insanely long, but the number I kept hearing, and this is only on like Reset Era, and what I kept hearing was like 15 to 20 hours.
Okay, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
That's a lot of wiggle room to make a lot of bad decisions for me.
Oh, yeah, totally.
15 hours is a long time to be stressed out and worried, but but it's going to leave that lasting impression. It might be one of those games where I get it, I play it, and I never go back to it because it's too emotional, but I'm really excited to play it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I loved Heavy Rain. Beyond Two Souls was not my favorite thing in the world.
That's not an uncommon opinion. That's
not an uncommon opinion. And I'm hoping Detroit falls more on the Heavy Rain side of things than the Beyond Two Souls side of things.
I think it will. I do have a big problem with one small thing in Heavy Rain, but it's kind of a major spoiler, and in case there's someone out here who hasn't played it yet, I don't want to talk about that. But as a whole, I do think and hope Detroit is falling more on the Heavy Rain side than the Beyond Two Souls side of things.
Yeah, sure. I think anything we've seen so far indicates that they learned from Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, for sure. And I was actually just looking it up, and Heavy Rain almost pushed sales history just on PS3. It sold almost 4 million copies. That's actually really impressive for a story-based game back on PS3, because mature content didn't really push as much back then. And as I'm growing older, I really do have an appreciation for the focusing on mature content. And I think this game will either be the pinnacle of it, or it could be a disaster. I don't know. Either way, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and going back to the start of the conversation, I remember Heavy Rain coming out to little to no fanfare, and it was one of those games where you started to hear people buzz about it, say, hey, you need to play this game.
Heavy Rain is definitely what put Quantic Dream on the map. It wasn't their first game, but it was their first big hit.
Right.
Their first game was Fahrenheit, wasn't it? That was the first.
Retitled Indigo Prophecy after some confusing legal mix-ups. But yes, that was their first game.
I don't think there's ever been a David Cage game that doesn't have legal mix-ups in it.
No, I think it comes with the studio at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely... It'll be interesting to see how things play out with that game. Now, we're wrapping up close to the end here. I want to touch on Bethesda E3. Okay. Because in a time period where the doom and gloom about E3 is slowly eating dirt, Bethesda's still doing a show, even though we're all sitting there with our pile of Bethesda published games that came out this year, which include things like Deathly Outsider, Wolfenstein 2. Was Prey last year?
Prey was last year, yes.
Yep, Prey was last year. We had Doom in 2016. They've pushed out a ton of games.
And not just that, a ton of quality games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's insane. And like Wolfenstein 2 is the epitome of plot twists. I won't go into it because there's still people that haven't played that game. But the only way I can describe the story in that game is a mindfuck. That's the only word I can come to mind for that game. I have nothing but good things to say. Now, Sam, I'm going to let you go into the details about what they've been hinting at because you know a lot more than I do.
Okay, personally. So you want me to hit the Bethesda E3 first or the Prey Twitter?
The Prey teaser more. I know more about. I know some stuff about the Bethesda E3.
Okay, all right. So we're going to focus on the Prey stuff, though. Okay. Yeah. So obviously, as we all know, just very short time ago, Bethesda confirmed that they're going to be having an E3 showing. And that means big things because, I'd say Bethesda has not had a bad E3 conference yet. I might be biased, maybe because I like their games, but I'd argue that every one of their showings so far has had at least a good amount of variety and some decent content to it. So, and on top of that, Pete Hines of Bethesda has said that Bethesda is not doing an E3 conference just for the sake of doing one. If they feel there's a year where they don't have enough content to show, they're not going to do one. So the fact that they're going to have an E3 show means they've got something to show. Conveniently, mere hours after they confirmed they're having an E3 presence, the Prey Twitter account became active again and tweeted out a little video clip of the moon, rendered in Prey, of course, with the caption, "Do we even really know what's out there?" And it goes from the view of Transtar, which is the space station that Prey takes place on, and it slowly, creepily starts zooming in on the moon, and you can just barely make out these symbols that have been etched into the surface of the moon before it suddenly cuts to black. Then, on top of that, there's been an update. Someone on Reset Era, the Reset Era forums, actually uncovered this. A new Twitter account went live yesterday. It's only made one tweet, pardon me, and let me see if I can just pull it up right here. The name of the Twitter account is Chasmacore. And Chasmacore, in the Prey notes, in the files you find in the game, is a rival to Transtar. It's one of the other big corporations. They engage in corporate espionage, stealing IPs, things like that. And this tweet, the only tweet you can find it's at Chasmacore on Twitter, is of cutting out a tumor and researching energy. It's some sort of energy process. So the fact that this new Twitter account has gone live, the Prey Twitter account is active again, and they've confirmed they're having an E3 showing, all points to there being some sort of major Prey-related expansion in the works. If I had to place a bet on, I'd say it's something similar to Dishonored: Death of the Outsider, a $30 or $40 standalone title that's slightly shorter, but it's still a full game with improvements.
Hey, that'd be cool, man. Prey was interesting. It was unique. It was fun. I know some people didn't like it. For various reasons. I'm a huge Bethesda Arcane nut, so I'll buy whatever they put out. I've been reading some stuff on Reset Era. There's some interesting theories going around. There's some theories that there's another Doom game coming. There's theories that it's going to be Arcane's making a Prey VR game, which would be, if they made a VR game, that'd be nuts.
Yeah, it really would.
I do not want to deal with mimics in VR.
Oh Lord!
I already have a distrust of my coffee cup as it is.
You need to get one of those little stickers and put it on there. Not a mimic.
I actually have that. That's one of my work shirts. Is actually not a mimic.
That's awesome.
That's what a mimic would say, though, Undead.
There you go. We know nothing. Yeah, I'm excited for whatever Bethesda brings to the table. Like, I love Bethesda because there's always rumors going around with their stuff because they keep things under such close wraps. We never have leaks from Bethesda.
No, they are even Shinobi. Back in his infamous leaking days, before he went legit in the gaming industry, he was asked one time about what Bethesda was working on, and he said, "Dude, Bethesda is an ironclad fortress. You're not getting in there. You can't find anything out."
It's interesting because from what I know from Bethesda, from some friends in the industry, is they are a Loctite organization. A lot of the people that work at Bethesda and all their sub studios and everything else have been there forever. It appears to be if you start developing games for them, that's your life. That's where you end up staying. So obviously they treat their employees fairly well if that's the case. But their lack of leaks is commendable, and their marketing campaigns and how they drop hints on what's coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny that the only things we ever hear about are what they leak intentionally, and you find out later that it was intentional. You know, when they post their, what was it that was up on the screen? They had their folders for all their games posted on the screen.
Yeah, the new Colossus was leaked, in quotation marks, a full year in advance.
And they acted like it was an
one
accident.
Of the file directories. Yeah, and they just acted like, whoops, you weren't supposed to see that. And but they're also very commendable for how they just boom, announce a game, and then boom, it's out. You know, Fallout 4, boom, here you go, 5-month marketing campaign, it's out. And just recently, just last year, boom, here's not one, but here's 2 games. Here's Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, and here's The Evil Within 2. Both incredibly good games, by the way. Both games you absolutely need to play. Both are out in like 4 months. And that's awesome. The way they do that is enviable, to say the least.
And go ahead, Alden.
Well, it's funny that it seems like every year the only rumor going into the conference is we're going to get Elder Scrolls 6. And that's the only thing we never get.
Well, because, I don't know why people keep running with that rumor, because Todd Howard has explicitly stated that while work on the Elder Scrolls 6 has begun, they don't have the tech right now. He's outright stated that they're waiting for the next gen of consoles after this because they want to do some crazy stuff and consoles aren't ready. That being said, I think we might see something from Todd's team, Bethesda Game Studios. I think we'll see something from them this year.
There's an interesting rumor flying around. I'm not sure if you've seen it. You've probably seen it, Sam. But do you remember a couple of months ago where they were talking to Obsidian about what they were working on, and they said they were working on an RPG and they couldn't go into details about it because of NDAs and everything? They had that guy standing there, and they had the Fallout New Vegas sign in the background while they were talking about Obsidian working on another game. And now they're talking about how Bethesda's actual studio is working on something, and people are sitting there going, are we getting a Fallout New Vegas sequel? Is that happening? And I'm sitting in my chair like vibrating.
Whatever we get from them, whether it be a New Vegas sequel or the long rumored Starfield, the new IP RPG that's been in rumors for a long, long time, whatever it is, holy cow, you have to imagine that if your name isn't Red Dead Redemption 2, you're terrified it releases this year.
I forgot about Starfield because that was supposed to be at E3, and then at the last minute, they're like, "Oop."
That's the rumor. Yeah, we don't know the details, obviously, but yeah, if it's a new RPG from the team behind the Elder Scrolls and Fallout, then gee.
God. That'd be like if all of a sudden CD Projekt Red comes out next week and is like, yep, Cyberpunk 2077, November.
Yeah, I don't think that's launching this year, but it's going to be a crazy E3 because, yeah, that's a distinct possibility that we actually get to see Cyberpunk this year. In terms of being announced and whatnot.
I just want to see in-game footage. That's all I want.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see.
But I
really
don't.
support
In regards
Cyberpunk
to
2077.
in regards to CD Projekt Red, they've already stated they said that that Cyberpunk 2077 would be on this gen and next gen consoles. So that doesn't really give me a 2018 vibe.
Well, I mean, in terms of being announced, in terms of, hey, here's a trailer, here's maybe some in-game footage, I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell it releases this year.
I think even 2019 is being optimistic, but that's a conversation for another story.
Yeah.
There's another studio. Good luck trying to get any information about it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Seriously.
You remember that insider that leaked about the development trouble that Cyberpunk was in, and then he was fired and then banned off every forum?
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like, damn, you just committed career suicide for nothing.
Jeez.
All right, so ask for some Q&A questions on the Twitterverse.
Oh boy.
Because now that we have guests on, I always like to see what their followers or people have interesting to ask. And this,
Yes. Sorry about my friends and followers.
So we'll start with Brandon Murphy, since I saw him in the chat here. His question was for Alden, and it was, how could you leave me behind?
Oh, Brandon, it's just sometimes you have to swing a little bit in a relationship when it's gone to a certain point. You got to get out there and test the market, right?
Dip your toe in the pond.
It's a way to spice up the relationship, right?
Yeah, and Brandon, just so you know, if you're still listening, you always have an open invite on here. Gotta get you on and talk some PlayStation at some point.
Yeah, Brandon's one of the funniest people I know, and just sitting in a room with him is fantastic. So the chemistry that the two of us have, on all seriousness, I like to make jokes, and I just realized I should probably be honest for a second. He's great to sit there and do a show with. It's #DadPod started as a show that we were going to give like parenting advice, but it really immediately, episode 1 turned into a show where we just wanted to sit there and make each other laugh for an hour, and that's what it's turned into. And for 17 episodes, we've been doing it strong. There have been weeks where we sit down and we go, I'm not really in a great mood. There's no way we're going to be able to do this. And 4 minutes in, we're acting ridiculous or telling stupid stories, and we're both dying laughing. So it's fun. And Brandon is fantastic, and you should definitely have him on a week or two from now.
Yeah, Brandon's fantastic. I can't remember how I ended up following you guys. I think it was through Doc Cupcake. I'm pretty sure that's how I found out about you.
Probably, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was through Digital Hoarders initially.
Yeah, Doc is fantastic too. I don't want to. Brandon's the one who asked the question. Doc did not, but Doc is also wonderful.
I know what you mean. Doc was a huge influence on me on a charity and giving back to the community level. There's not too many people out there that do as much as that man.
Yeah.
And you guys are just absolutely fantastic, and definitely enjoy seeing you guys. Social media brightens up my feed, and Dad Pod gets me through my Thursdays on a somewhat regular basis.
I appreciate that a lot.
So the next one comes from the PlayStation Bra, who keeps ducking my invites to come on this show. His question goes along the lines of, why is the PlayStation Bra so brasome?
Well, bra, sometimes you just got a bra, and then you bra. You get a bra?
So I'm going to field this question just for the simple fact that I was watching the broadcast last week, and Alden and Brandon were on with J-Dub, and I wasn't looking at the show. I had it on while I was watching TV with the wife, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, is Bra echoing? Because I'm hearing it twice. So then I clicked on the YouTube tab, and I look at it, I'm like, he's not even talking.
Yeah, we that came out of #DadPod. It was one of those weeks where Brandon and I sat down and we were like, I don't have a lot to say, but within 3 or 4 minutes, it just organically happened where Brandon made a comment about Bra's mic, and he was like, I don't want to get Bra's mic because he sounds like this. Hey, yo, how you going? How's it go? How you doing, Bra? And I was like, holy shit, that's a really good Bra impression. And then I did it, and I was like, I can do it too. So we ended up doing it for about 20 minutes in that episode. So anybody who listens to our show who has no idea who he is probably just sitting there going, what the hell? But I had a friend text me the next day, and she said, I don't know who that Bra guy is, but that was hilarious. So I was like, oh, thank God, because I was afraid it was going to be awful for anybody who didn't know him.
He is a one-of-a-kind guy.
Yeah, he hit us up the next day and said, I hate you guys so much, but I gotta get y'all on the show.
It's so funny. He's the only guy on Twitter when I read his DMs to me, I read them in his voice, and I just give it to myself.
Yeah, just replace all the words with bra. Bra, 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 bra.
It's not a problem.
It's not a problem.
All right, so this one's from Dan Rodriguez. So he's got 2 questions. So, stuck on an island with only one game for the rest of your life, what game is it? And that's for the whole cast. So we'll start with Alden first.
Oh, man.
Well, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, at least on this show. Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn, I loved so much. And I know you're not crazy about it, Undead, but that's what I like about you guys and some of the people that we've been able to interact with on Twitter is it's okay to have a different opinion. And I get it that it's not everybody's favorite game, but for me, it just does so many things that other games do, but it kind of meshed it all together. And it's everything that I've wanted in a game. You know, I love Monster Hunter, but I wanted more of a story to go along with it. So some of those fights in Horizon Zero Dawn feel a lot like Monster Hunter fights, but then you also get to take a break from that and you get to go out and experience a story or climb a tall neck. You know, climbing a tall neck is like Shadow of the Colossus light. I wish it was more in depth. I told Brandon at one point that to put in a good word and tell people to create a 5 or 6 hour DLC where you're just climbing tall necks, and it's much more difficult than the ones that are in the game. But so because of that, I say Horizon Zero Dawn. It's the game that is the most fun for me to play.
I just want to give a shout out to the guys that have literally turned Horizon Zero Dawn into the best photography history, because some of the shots I've seen of that game are insane, and
it's a crazy awesome photo mode.
It's phenomenal, and the game does so many things right. It's got great characters, it's got great monsters, different mechanics. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't like it, but it's fantastic.
Overall, it's
no problem admitting to that. Rage.
Dark Souls 3, easily. I honestly can't get enough of that game. I don't know why. It's just one of those games that it's just always hits that spot for me. I don't know.
I love Dark Souls 3.
It's just one of those games where I have almost 180 hours in one profile. I think it is, on just one character. But it's easy one game I can just keep playing over and over and over again and probably not get completely tired of it, because I know I could just keep going on and on with the one single character and just be like Superman plus the Hulk plus Iron Man all into one.
Yeah, I could see that. Dark Souls is definitely... Everyone knows I have a temper while gaming. So believe it or not, Dark Souls isn't my favorite thing in the world.
That's surprising.
Shocking.
That being said, I'm playing the hell out of Bloodborne right now. Haven't broke my controller yet. It's frustrating, but in a good way. So when that Dark Souls remaster comes out, I'll probably pick up 2 and 3, and I'll probably try to make it through the whole series.
You should. Definitely should.
I'll definitely give it a try. It's really, once again, another one of those really good games that I either don't like or just makes me really, really, really mad. And I know that breaks the Canadian stereotype. Like, I know everyone thinks that when I get mad, I go out and kick the hell out of my polar bear. But it's all its fault. Sam, what's your Desert Island 1 game?
You're asking me that question.
Yeah.
To the surprise of approximately
what's your
to the surprise of approximately 0 human beings on planet Earth, it's going to be The Witcher 3. I grew up with a love of the Witcher books a few years ago when I just started reading them, and then I enjoyed The Witcher 2, but Witcher 3 is it's something in gaming that, frankly, in so many different ways other games have touched, but The Witcher 3 has encompassed all of them. Its story, the world, even the combat. I know some people give the combat flack, but I love it. It's like a whirlwind of rage and death. It's incredible. The lore that references Slavic and Czechoslovakia and, you know, Celtic lore and the different monsters and the morality, the characters. It's an incredible game all around. I love it. And so, yeah, that would be my Desert Island game. No question.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely see that. I need to go back and keep playing. I've got so many goddamn like 100-hour RPGs.
Those are the ones that pile up, right? It's not the shorter games. You get rid of those. It's the 100-hour games.
And I can get through like 15, 20-hour games like the week they come out, but it's like literally looking at my backlog. Like I'm looking on my shelf right now. I've got Nier Automata, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Persona 5, Witcher 3, Mass Effect Andromeda, which is going to sit in my backlog till next gen. I've got so many of those long games, and I know Alden feels me on this one. Trying to play super long games with kids is it's a struggle. And with RPGs, I need that immersion. I can't be like, play it for 10 minutes, take off my headset, go help my daughters with something, and then come back to it. That break just doesn't work. I need to be able to sit down and play it straight for a couple hours, and I really don't get that kind of time.
Yeah, I only got a few hours into Witcher 3. I haven't finished it or even gotten any meat of the story done, and it is just that. It's like I don't have the time to really devote to it, so I haven't put any time into it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to just sit there and play it for half an hour and not get anything out of it. So then I end up just not playing it at all.
Oh, I do that too. Awful. I'm sitting there like everyone's like, my one friend has been like, he harasses me on Twitter on like a semi-daily basis. He's like, you played your Nier Automata yet? I'm like, dude,
that's my second favorite game ever. Nier Automata is unbelievable.
I'm just like, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's not even the kind of game I like, but it's like, it doesn't matter, man. You'll love it. I'm like, I need to try that. And then I installed it on my PS4. And I was like, got out of the closets. It's like, you need space in your hard drive. I'm like, I'll just uninstall that. And no, it's backlog struggles. Oh, that's a hard one. People that know me would probably think it would be Smite. I've got 66 days logged into that game. But I'm actually going to say, and people are going to be really surprised by this, I'm going to say Mario 64.
Okay. Not a bad choice.
It's like a two-way tie between Mario 64 and BioShock, the original one.
That's not bad. That's
BioShock will always have a special place in my heart because it was the first video game me and my wife played together.
Gotcha.
We went down to GameStop and we've been dating for like a week at this point. And she was like, oh, I want to buy a new game. And I was like, oh, okay. She wasn't really into video games. She was kind of pretending to be for my benefit. And I was like, okay, well, we were looking at them. And back in the day when you went down to a store and you bought the video games based off what the cover looked like. And I was sitting there, I was like, oh, this game looks kind of cool. It's got like this dude in like a diving suit with a drill on it. That could be fun. It looked like an exploration game. So I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool. And we stayed up for 12 hours and skipped school the next day to finish that game all in one. I think we beat it in 24 hours. It was fantastic, just end to end. It'll always be one of my favorite games of all time, and definitely series for sure, because BioShock 2 was good. Not as good as the first one, but BioShock Infinite was, God, that plot twist. Jesus Christ. So, yeah. So those are my my Desert Island games. Now, there was another question here. I got one from Dwayne Gamertron 5099. This one's directly for Alden. Alden, how did you and Brandon start podcasting together? Like, what shows did they do before? Like, did you guys start doing Digital Hoarders first, or like how did you guys start podcasting?
Yeah, we started with Digital Hoarders. He and I, and I'll try to make this quick. I know you guys need to get moving on to the other show. But we started Digital Hoarders. We were both fans of other podcasts, and we just wanted to make something that was entertaining, but also positive and not part of the I don't know, the negativity that we see all over Twitter these days. We wanted to provide a positive place for people to hang out. And we wanted to have a spot where we could disagree with each other, but at the end of the day, show everybody, like, look, you know what, I feel this way about this. He feels this way about this. We're still friends. It doesn't matter. We can disagree and it's okay. And we wanted to infuse that with our personalities and our video game knowledge, but also keep it fun. So we started Digital Hoarders, and Doc was on another podcast and he left it. And Brandon and I had been kicking this idea around for 6 or 7 months. He called me one day and said, "Hey, do you want to start a pod?" And I don't even think he got podcast out before I was like, yes. And we got all the equipment and just kind of sat on it. And I tried to figure out how to run everything and all that stuff. I got a mixer that we don't even use at this point. And from that point forward, we loved it so much, and we enjoyed interacting with people and having a place that we're carving out for ourselves. We enjoy just kind of making each other laugh, like I said. And from there, we wanted another outlet for what is more of our personalities, which is we are two dads. So that actually started out as a small conversation, and he called me one day and said, if we do start that other show, we could call it #DadPod. And I was like, oh my God, that name is so fantastic. Let's start next week. And the first episode was on a day where Brandon had a really rough day and was dealing with some family stuff, and we literally died laughing. Brandon passed out laughing at one point, for real. Like, people think that might have been a joke on the show. No, he fell on the floor and went, "Where am I?"
Oh my Lord.
And that he's done that now 3 times since we started doing the show. We're 17 episodes in. 3 times he's passed out. And it actually happened a couple weeks ago. He fell under the table that we podcast on, and I had to pick him up, and he started going, "Where am I? What happened? What happened?" I'm like, oh my God,
no.
you might need to get that looked at. It's not funny anymore. It's scary.
I'm legitimately concerned for Brandon. Brandon, we all care about you. This is an intervention for your laughing fits.
Yeah, I take it as I guess I'm just that funny, man. But really what it always turns out to be is Brandon said something ridiculous, and I started joking about it, and then we both just die laughing, and then he almost literally dies laughing. So I guess I shouldn't use that as a way to say that. We don't die laughing, but Brandon almost does.
More than once.
Yeah.
More than once. That's the worst.
Not literally, Brandon. Go figurative.
He took me a little too literally when I say that. We just try to make each other die laughing, and he's like, "I'll show you. I'll die first."
I can just see it now. Episode 20. #DadPod. Rest in peace, Brandon.
Yeah. It's going to be a different show, I guess, huh?
It's a one-man performance, eh?
Yeah. It won't be anywhere near as good. So yeah, our chemistry is really good and really fun. I know Bra and I were talking about that last week. He was like, "Man, I wish that you guys would be on my show every week." And I'm like, "Nah, no thanks. We've got a lot of podcasting. Every Wednesday is podcasting for hours and hours." So
I hear you on that. I do multiverse. I do this, and that fills my need.
Yeah.
I've kicked around different ideas for other things, but there's things that I sit there and go, hey, that's a really good idea. I should write that down. And then I wake up the next day and I was like, was I thinking of something? No, okay.
No, I got stuff to do.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode of the Gaming Perspective. I want to thank everybody that stopped by the chat. It was fantastic that everyone dropped by. It was great having you on, Alden. Definitely gonna have to have you on down the road again for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, great. It was great having you on, dude.
Thanks a lot, man. Any chance that I can talk Fortnite, though, I mean, I'm in. So
maybe what I'll do is when Detroit comes out or God of War, I'll get you and Brandon on the show.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Brandon's a huge God of War fan, and I'm really excited about this game.
Oh, good. So me and him can yell bra at each other with our beards and be all macho for an episode.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I want to hear it.
Okay, so we'll do quick outros where everyone can find everyone. So that way we can wrap up so Cal can start Tick Podcast late as usual. So Rage, where can the good people find you?
All right, this is RageVirusX. You can find me at Twitter at RageVirus_X or at thelootgaming.com.
All right, perfect. And Sam?
So if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Samuel Tolbert. That's TOLBERT on Twitter. And if I'm not playing something, I'm writing about it on Tick. And if I'm not writing about it on Tick, I am reviewing it and playing it so I can then write about it on Tick. Take care, y'all.
All right. And Alden, where can people find you at? I'll have all your links in the description as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you can find me at a.bear on Twitter, but also Digital Hoarders, at Digital Hoarders, but the E at the end is a 3 because some guy took at Digital Hoarders and never used it. And then at #AdPod for #AdPod. I'm really proud of, and I say it too often, but if you're into gaming, and you don't have kids, you still might like our show. A lot of people come to Digital Hoarders and don't check out #DadPod because they're like, I'm not a dad. But it's a fun show that's a little bit harder to get out there to people. So if you could, check it out. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. I was super happy when I found out about Podcast Addict. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember who turned me on to that. Whoever they are, they're a fantastic human being, and I love you. And my kids' toys are going off in the background now. This is fantastic. So I want to thank everyone for stopping in. It was a great show, and we will talk to everyone later. This not this episode, but the next episode will be available on iTunes and Google. So that is fantastic. And there's some more stuff going for the show going forward that'll be announced later next week. Some big things coming up, so hopefully people will stick around for that. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you know when we go live. And thanks everyone for stopping by. And everyone have a fantastic Saturday night.